In the previous film, Spike is rescued, only to be captured by a mysterious group that almost looks like a twisted version of the Power Rangers. Because of his ability to kill zombies, Spike is given a chance to join their ranks. The condition is that he must defeat one of them in a duel to the death. Their leader, Jimmy, agrees to the fight. They underestimate Spike's small build, and his opponent even throws away his knife to face him barehanded. Spike is completely helpless against the unarmed fighter, prompting the others to mock and insult him. They decide Spike isn't worthy of joining and continue to look down on him. When his opponent lets his guard down, Spike stabs him in the thigh with a knife. Unfortunately, the blade goes too deep and ends up piercing the boy's heart. His blood sprays out like a burst pipe, leaving him anemic and dead within seconds. With his victory, Spike becomes a member, and Jimmy gives him a new name, Jimmy, just like the others in the group. He is also given a wig as an official sign that he's been accepted into their twisted little family. In the middle of the forest, a man is hunting a deer. Suddenly, a zombie chases after him, followed by several others. The man runs, but trips over a tree root and falls like it's the opening scene of a horror movie. An alpha zombie spots him, and from its perspective, humans are terrifying creatures that must be eradicated. Like a thief crying thief, he is brutally killed. Elsewhere, Dr. Kelson is examining the body of the pregnant zombie from the first film. As he works, the sounds he makes attract Samson, who is busy enjoying his latest catch. Kelson notices Samson's arrival and prepares to sedate him. But just as Kelson is about to inject him, Samson hesitates as if he somehow senses the plan. Driven by instinct, Samson moves closer and is eventually sedated by Kelson. Kelson doesn't kill him, and instead treats Samson's wounds while introducing himself and trying to make conversation. After that, Dr. Kelson returns to his routine, extracting bones from both zombie and human corpses he comes across. The next day, Samson appears once again, but this time, he doesn't look aggressive at all. Kelson lowers his tranquilizer dart and calmly invites Samson to come closer. Samson slowly approaches as Kelson tries to communicate with him, but Kelson doesn't want to take any risks and sedates him anyway. He realizes that Samson becomes extremely calm after being exposed to the drug. Kelson then tries to talk to the half-conscious Samson, telling him he means no harm and hopes that one day Samson might be able to say a single word. Kelson takes out the sedative and samples it himself, causing him to fall asleep beside Samson. Sometime later, Kelson wakes up and finds his body still intact. He becomes overjoyed and starts dancing, believing he has formed a bond with Samson and begins treating him like a friend. The next day, Samson returns again, shouting to greet Kelson while carrying a deer's head. Seeing Samson's change, Kelson even invites him to dance in broad daylight. As the rain falls, Samson begins to feel something when the raindrops touch his skin. Elsewhere, 3 people are hunting and searching for mushrooms in the forest. They realize there are zombies nearby and immediately hide. An older man acts recklessly and decides to attack a zombie instead of staying quiet. His brief hesitation while trying to kill it causes the zombie to scream and draw more of them into the area. Seeing the chaos unfold, his 2 companions are forced to abandon him and run for their lives. The old man is surrounded by zombies and tries to fight back, but blood splashes into his eyes, infecting him and turning him into one of them. They return to their base only to find that Jimmy and his group have already taken control of it. Jimmy's group takes their food while laughing. One of them even shows off a Teletubbies dance he loved as a child in the first film. Kathy is annoyed by their sudden arrival and the way they take food without permission. She firmly tells Jimmy that he is not welcome there. This makes Jimmy angry, and he labels them as wanderers and outsiders. Filled with rage, Jimmy declares that everyone in the house must be killed. One of the men throws boiling water onto the table and tells Kathy to run. Her companion is captured, while Kathy manages to escape. They drag the victims into an animal pen where livestock are usually kept, claiming that what they're about to do is an act of charity. Because one person escaped, Jimmy orders Jemima to find a new target. On her way, she encounters a zombie and casually kills it. Moments later, she accidentally discovers Dr. Kelson and Samson singing and dancing together. She stares in disbelief as Dr. Kelson invites Samson to dance, unable to comprehend what she's witnessing. Jimmy delivers a speech in front of his followers and the captured family. He openly declares his devotion to Satan and claims he is the son of Old Nick, another name for the devil. According to him, Old Nick enjoys acts of charity. Because of this twisted belief, he orders his followers to skin the captured family alive as an offering to Old Nick. They begin flaying the family, and Spike can no longer tolerate it and runs outside. Spike begs Jemima, who has just returned, not to force him back inside. Seeing how shaken he is, Jemima quickly comforts him. That night, Kelson and Samson sit peacefully together under the stars. Kelson explains that the main component of his drug is morphine, and based on Samson's consumption rate, there are only 2 weeks left. Within a 70-mile radius, there is no more morphine to be found. Kelson decides to euthanize Samson because there has been no further progress. Just as he is about to inject him, a miracle happens when Samson speaks a single word. Kelson freezes in disbelief at what he just heard, but Samson says it again, filling Kelson with overwhelming joy. Jimmy notices that one of the men, Tom, appears healthy and strong and gives him a cruel choice. Tom is allowed to choose someone to fight, and if he wins, he may take that person's place. Reluctantly, Tom chooses the woman who dances like the Teletubbies because she looks weak. Meanwhile, Kathy hides above them, watching everything. Jimmy communicates with Old Nick as if speaking to the wind, which he claims approves the duel. They hand Tom a knife, but when he tries to attack, his opponent easily dodges and stabs him. Tom is completely helpless against her. Jimmy declares that he wants to offer Tom as a sacrifice, calling him a little brother offering. Kathy, watching from above, notices a large hook nearby. Just as Tom is about to be killed, the hook swings down and smashes into his opponent's head, killing her instantly. Jimmy immediately realizes what has happened and orders his men to chase Kathy. In the chaos, Tom slowly crawls forward, grabs a gas canister, and sets one of them on fire. One of Jimmy's men notices and shoots Tom with an arrow, causing the gas canister to roll away. Outside, Spike and Jemima are relaxing while eating when chaos suddenly erupts. They are shocked to see someone on fire stumble out from inside. Jimmy's group rushes out as Kathy manages to escape. Seeing this, Jimmy immediately orders Spike to chase her. Cornered, Kathy is caught by Spike, but instead of following orders, Spike decides he wants to escape with her. Kathy doesn't believe him and kicks Spike before running off on her own, leaving him behind. Spike returns empty-handed, which makes Jimmy furious. To save himself, Spike lies and claims that he accidentally killed Kathy during the earlier chase. Jimmy doesn't fully believe him and says he will consult Old Nick to decide what punishment Spike deserves for failing his task. Jemima interrupts and claims that she has seen Old Nick with her own eyes. Jimmy doesn't believe her at first, but Jemima insists that she saw a yellow-skinned figure dancing with an alpha zombie. The next day, Samson wakes from his sleep. He begins walking through the forest and tries eating berries nearby. Slowly, Samson starts to regain memories from his past as a human. He remembers riding a train many years ago. Meanwhile, Kelson returns to reading his medical books in desperation, searching for answers on how to eliminate the rage and hallucinations affecting the zombies. As Kelson looks for Samson, he realizes that Samson has disappeared. At the same time, Jimmy and his followers also arrive at the location. Jimmy is still unsure whether Kelson is truly Old Nick, but he admits that this man does resemble the real Old Nick. Jimmy decides to approach him alone first to introduce himself, while ordering his followers to wait behind. Jimmy comes face to face with Kelson. He notices the bones carefully arranged and scattered throughout the area. Jimmy directly asks Kelson if he is Old Nick, also known as Satan. Kelson calmly replies that he is not Old Nick and does not know anyone by that name. He clearly states that he is not Satan and introduces himself as Dr. Kelson. He explains that this place is his own creation and that he believes the zombies are the result of a virus. Jimmy refuses to accept that explanation because he is a devoted follower of Satanism. He firmly believes that humans turned into zombies because of Satan's work. So Jimmy then introduces himself and the two continue their conversation. At the same time, Spike tells Jemima that the man they saw might not be Old Nick at all, but just an ordinary human. However, Jemima remains convinced that the man is the Old Nick they have been searching for. Even so, she admits that Jimmy himself seems confused and uncertain, especially since this is the first time he has encountered someone like this. Jimmy begins recounting his past, explaining that he once lived near a church and that his father was a priest. His father strongly believed that the zombie outbreak was caused by Satan. Because of that belief, Sir Jimmy grew up thinking he was the devil's child, chosen by his father to continue Satan's mission of wiping out humanity. Kelson then shares his own background, revealing that he was once a military doctor and now lives alone in this place. However, a serious problem arises when Jimmy explains that his followers are not far away and are eager to meet Old Nick. Since Kelson is not Old Nick, Jimmy says they would normally kill him. However, Jimmy gives him a choice to pretend to be Old Nick and greet them. Kelson reluctantly agrees. That night, Jimmy informs his followers that they will meet Old Nick and firmly orders them not to speak when they do. Meanwhile, Kelson stays with Samson and admits that this is the first time he has truly felt fear, knowing someone like Jimmy is coming. Because of that, he prepares a new drug for Samson, hoping it can erase the rage and hallucinations affecting him. This becomes Kelson's final attempt to cure Samson. Based on the medical books he has studied, the zombies suffer from hallucinations that trigger extreme rage. The next morning, Spike secretly tries to sneak toward Kelson's location. Unfortunately, he is spotted by one of Jimmy's followers. On the way, Spike is attacked by a zombie and is forced to fight it off. Suddenly, one of Jimmy's men attacks Spike out of revenge after Spike killed his friend earlier. At the worst possible moment, Jemima arrives and helps Spike. Jemima kills him and convinces Spike that the outside world is far more dangerous than staying with their group. After bringing Spike back, Jemima explains that Jimmy Snake is actually terrified of meeting Old Nick and believes that killing himself might be the only way to escape. Jimmy doesn't fully believe her, but accepts the explanation. Kelson continues searching for Samson to see whether the drug worked or not. Samson is shown washing himself by the riverbank. After that, he walks through the forest with two zombies following behind him. Samson enters an abandoned train carriage and sits inside, and suddenly regains his memories as a human completely. He remembers riding the same train as a child while reading a book about the moon. However, he didn't have a ticket at the time, and the memory startles him awake. Suddenly, the other zombies notice Samson's change and begin attacking him. Meanwhile, Kelson prepares everything to welcome Sir Jimmy and his followers. He arranges various items, including stones, medicine, and lighting, preparing himself for what is about to happen. Moments later, Jimmy arrives at Old Nick's place with his followers and witnesses Kelson's performance. Kelson calls them forward and orders everyone to kneel. Everyone obeys, except Jimmy. Kelson then orders them to continue carrying out their mission. Jimmy explains that their task is to continue torturing humans to please Old Nick. Kelson adds that they must also recruit more followers and spread satanic teachings everywhere. Elsewhere, Samson manages to survive the attack from the other zombies. As they prepare to leave, Kelson suddenly notices someone familiar among the group. He realizes that one of them is Spike. After confirming that it really is Spike, Dr. Kelson asks for one final thing. He reminds them that Jesus, the Son of God, sacrificed himself for humanity by being crucified. Because of that, this time, he also demands a sacrifice and declares that Jimmy must be crucified as his son. Jemima immediately attacks Jimmy, but Jimmy quickly reveals the truth. He confesses in front of everyone that Kelson is not Old Nick, but merely an ordinary man. To prove it, he stabs Kelson with a knife, leaving his followers confused and shaken. In the chaos, Jemima kills 2 of her other companions, and Spike manages to stab Jimmy, knocking him unconscious. Jemima then directly asks Kelson if he is sure Old Nick does not exist. Kelson calmly replies that no, there is no such thing in this world. Jemima is clearly disappointed, but she still praises Kelson for the remarkable performance he put on earlier. On the other hand, Spike feels deeply saddened seeing Kelson in that condition. After completing the mission of crucifying Jimmy, they prepare to leave, and Jemima reveals her real name to Spike, saying that her name is Kelly. Together, they leave the place behind. Meanwhile, Jimmy begins hallucinating, believing that he is meeting his father, whom he sees as the devil himself. However, in reality, the figure he sees is not a devil at all. It is Samson, who has now fully regained his human consciousness. Samson wants to thank Kelson, but Kelson is already gone. Samson then carries Kelson's body away, leaving Jimmy lying behind, in a beautiful house by the lake, where a family lives peacefully. It is revealed that the man living there is Jim, a character from 28 Days Later. Against all odds, he is still alive. He now lives with his son, and from the child's complexion, it is implied that he married Selena. Suddenly, they hear a noise from outside. When they look out, they see Spike and Kelly being chased by a group of zombies. Without hesitation, they decide to help them. With that, the film comes to an end. Hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.